welcome back to another video. I can't believe, I say this every month, but I honestly cannot believe we're already in another month. And I just want to apologize for this delayed video. I filmed it last week, went to, do the editing and things on it, and realized that my footage had been corrupted and or deleted, or both, or all the above. So that was why there was no video, and then I was out of town the weekend. So I was like, you know what, we're just gonna start fresh. Next week, we're just gonna do a full reboot and really just get into the nitty-gritty of what we did this month. Now, as per usual, we didn't do much this month. I really want to get back into it, and I've already set up 2 videos in my mind. I haven't filmed it yet, but of recipes and things I want to start getting back into because I just miss it so much. It was honestly my favorite time of the week, was just being able to hang out with y'all and bake with you, and I really want to get back into that. So this will be a fairly short video, but I think it'll be a good one because we'll just kind of go over what I got up to this month. And again, it wasn't much, but there was this amazing raspberry cheesecake I made that I'm still really proud of it, because if you recall, I had some issues with some cinnamon rolls, and not so much the cinnamon rolls, although that was like a different story, and we've come full circle to fix that situation. Hold on. But it's the cream cheese frosting. Like, if you remember or recall, I'll put a clip because I just think it's hilarious, of the cream cheese frosting that's like dripping over on the cinnamon rolls, and it's kind of chunky and not really cute. I fixed that. I had a huge fear that this cheesecake was gonna turn out to be clumpy and gross like the frosting usually is, but I let it sit to the point where I was worried that it was actually gonna turn sour. I let it sit out for that long to get super soft, and then I mixed it all together, and it all came together beautifully. And I made it for my father-in-law because his favorite dessert is raspberry cheesecake, and it was Father's Day at that point. Yes, we are in the middle of July and we're talking about Father's Day back in June. That's just the nature of the game at the moment. I still am working and finding my footing in my new job, trying to take on more responsibility, which means I have more tasks, which means it makes it a little bit harder to find time to bake when everything is all said and done after the work day. Sometimes I'm just a little too tired to, get into a 12-hour bake, but I am setting some time aside and prioritizing y'all because I just miss it and I love y'all so much and I want to get back into it. So all that to say, the raspberry cheesecake was a smash hit. I didn't bring any home. I actually don't know if there was much to bring home, if I'm honest. By the end of the weekend, I feel like we all just kind of nibbled and nabbled all over it, and there really wasn't much left, and that's honestly how good it was. The only thing I would change would be owning a sieve. I didn't have one, and so I was using like a colander to try to get the little seeds of the raspberry out. So as you can see, there's just a little bit of seedage going on throughout, but honestly, when you had it, it didn't taste gritty or like you didn't chew through seeds or it didn't get stuck in your teeth. It was almost like it just seamlessly went through. So there was no complaints on that part. That's probably the only thing I would change. I will say it was a great recipe, so I kind of knew going in, if I could get over the cream cheese part, I think I could make a really good cheesecake because it was adapted from a really popular recipe and then made into more of like a home style recipe with their own touches on it. I think I knew kind of going in that it was going to be a good bake, and I had confidence that if I couldn't do it, then me and cream cheese just really aren't friends. But again, like I said, we prevailed, we made it through, and it was a really good cheesecake. I just love when people are able to take recipes, like really high quality recipes. Maybe they have like grade A kitchens and things like that when they're making these recipes, and then they're able to take those recipes and bring it down to someone who just has a regular build grade oven back at home and may not have all of the tools and accessories that original celebrity or person on television had when they were in their perfect kitchen. One day, hopefully, we'll get to that point, but I just love when they're able to like kind of adapt that and find their own groove and rhythm within the recipe to create something just as good, and if not better, because it's more attainable. And I just love that. And if you follow the recipe, I'll link it below as per usual. If you follow the recipe, there's like one section that just made me crack up, and I you don't know this, but I'm actually a journalist major. So I love words. I love plays on words. I love literally anything and that involves words or the English language in general. But there's nothing I love more than seeing someone's like personality in writing coming through. And in this recipe, they are so stinking funny. There was like one section where it was talking about the water bath for the cheesecake and baking it in, and it was like, you can either ladle the water in the oven, or you can put it in before and then, you know, bake it as per usual. And I was like, that's so cool, awesome. I don't know which one I'll do, but it was worded with just so much sass. I just loved it, honestly, because you can kind of tell this is like a at-home family recipe that they've kind of adapted and made their own. And I just love when personality comes through in recipes. Don't get me wrong, I love robotic messages, like things I can follow, but I love when your personality comes through a little bit, so I always try to look for those recipes and sprinkle them in where I can. But they said something along the lines of like, you can either ladle it in or you can just put it in, I don't care, whatever works for you. And I just thought that was so funny, because, you know, sometimes you do get those really stringent and strict recipes that's like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And it's nice to just feel like you're able to freely do what feels right for you in the moment. And that's what I think the beauty of baking is you can kind of just make it your own. Obviously you got a recipe to follow, but do it the way that makes it feel good for you. Okay, so the second top bake of this previous month was a blueberry lemon loaf. I had not tried this beforehand. Someone had sent it to me and was like, do this. And I was like, okay, I will absolutely try whatever y'all want. If you ever have any suggestions of things you want me to try before you try them because it seems daunting or whatever, I'm your girl, I'm your try girl. So keep that in mind. If there's anything you guys want me to make, put it in the comments and I will absolutely make it, as long as it's attainable in my country, like, you know, the ingredients for it and things. But I'll even try things that aren't, because I did try that soda bread one time and you saw how that ended up. But if you haven't, it's kind of fun. I'd recommend watching it. But yeah, if you have anything, let me know. But someone messaged me and was like, I would love to have this. And I was like, I would love to give it to you, so sure. And I followed a recipe that I thought was gonna work in my brain and it didn't. So that was mistake number one. I tried putting the blueberries in as normal. Obviously they're gonna spread. Don't know why I didn't think that. So then I found another recipe that tells you to freeze them and then put them in flour, and that makes more sense to me. So I did that version, and I finally got a little zester. You know, you use lemon zest or lime zest on a cocktail or something like that. So I got a little zester and I used a whole zest of a lemon, and that was a lot better than me trying to like literally grate it. The zest was a little bit thinner and less chewy. It was more thin and easily movable and digestible. It was a lot easier to move around on the bread itself, whereas the grated ones were like literal grated slices of cheese. Just imagine like shredded cheese, and I was just so nervous that if they bit into that it would kind of taste kind of gross. So I was really happy that I got that little zester. I was able to spread it evenly, because that's what it comes down to when you're making loaves of bread and you're doing inclusions. Like, you want to make sure it's evenly spread throughout. You don't want one section to have too much or too little, because when you cut into it, that's the most important part. That is like the golden ticket. If you can open it and you can see that the inclusion spread fully throughout, then you've made a really good loaf. And so that was my goal when I was kind of setting that up, and I was nervous that it wasn't gonna fully end up the way that I wanted it to, but it did once I used that little zester, and it is so good. The smell in my house is absolutely ludicrous. Like, it smells delicious. It's one of those things, and I tell my customers all the time, it's one of those things where I'm like, do I have to share this? I know I said y'all could have it, but what if I just kept it? Because it just smells so good. And one of these days I'm actually gonna make one for myself, I promise. I just like get so excited giving the bread away, and that's kind of why I started it in the first place. I just had this dream of wrapping bread up really nicely and giving it to people in need, or, you know, friends or family who are going through a tough time, or just like honestly friends and family trying to celebrate something. I think that's just as important. And that was my dream starting this whole like sourdough journey, besides like obviously wanting to be able to eat bread. But I love it so much. I'm always reminded of that every time I'm like, okay, you can have it. No, I never do that, but you know what I mean? Like, I love the smell of it when it's in my house, and it reminds me of how much I want to eat it, but then I'm also reminded of why I started in the first place. And I just love being able to give that to my clients, and it's just so sweet. But that is my newest flavor in the rotation. I'm trying to make things where they're like kind of seasonal, right? So like blueberry lemon, we're in this season of blueberries kind of at the moment. We had a little bit of strawberry, wasn't really sure how to capitalize on that. But once fall comes around, you know, just kind of adding seasonal flavors, mix it up a little bit, have the 3 main ones that I love making, and then just kind of have a rotating seasonal flavor. And I think that'll add a little bit of something and hopefully get people excited about the bread. But going off of the bread, I actually took cinnamon raisin loaf to our friend's like beach house little situation we had, and we made French toast. And when I tell you that French toast was so stinking good, it was so good. So I just took my regular cinnamon raisin loaf, cut it in half, flipped it on its side, and then cut it again, and then put it in an egg wash with cinnamon and, you know, cinnamon sugar, and then pop that thing right on the frying pan. And when I tell you it was top notch, like I truly mean it was top notch. And then my friend made like a goat cheese whipped butter with honey, and oh my gosh, we were literally like eating like kings and queens. It was so stinking good. It was honestly the best time. And just being able to actually, one, eat my own bread was like payment enough, but like two, just like being able to get more ideas for y'all, like on things that you can eat. I know I made French toast on like literally my first video. If you haven't watched that, I'll link that as well. But I take you like through the whole process. But I think I made French toast the first time and it was good. Don't get me wrong. I do love a good plain, you know, French toast, but something about having the cinnamon already kind of put in there, like a cinnamon mixture with raisins, and then adding like the little bit extra of cinnamon and egg yolk mixture, like it was so stinking good. And we had fresh berries. It was just one of those things that like, it really felt like fresh, like farm to table kind of vibes. And it is, honestly, it felt like the beginning of all the things I've been wanting to happen for me. And it was just so sweet. And I loved it so much. But that is literally all I baked in the month of June. I told you it was gonna be a fairly short video. We weren't gonna cover much. I don't have any bottom bakes. If there was anything, I told you in the past 3 things I talked about, if there was things I would improve. But there are no bottom bakes for this month, and honestly, I think call that a win. Like, we just had successes, I'll take it. But again, if there's any recipe or anything you want me to try or speak about, really, I'm open to suggestions. I just wanna, things that y'all wanna see, honestly. I don't wanna assume that I know everything. I love this channel and I love you guys, but also I want to make sure that I'm not just spinning my wheels to try to create content of things you might not want to watch. So if there's anything that you honestly are just dying to know or see, or, you know, talk about expectations, it could be more baking chatty vlogs, it could be more discard recipes. I know that we do want that. If you are unaware of how to sew and you just want to learn like a basic sewing like video, of course there's going to be people that might know it a little bit better. In fact, I guarantee there are people who know it a little bit better. But you know, when you get to that level, sometimes thinking in a newcomer's perspective is a little bit harder when you're so far advanced. So there's things that maybe I think about that maybe they might not think about when threading a needle or doing their first stitch. So if that's something you're interested in, I am absolutely open. I know I did a poll a little while back, but that's before you all came here, and I just want us to create this like really fun space where we can just kind of create and motivate each other to do things that maybe we're a little scared of doing, because that was the whole premise of this channel. I was terrified. I cringed at the thought of staring at a camera all day long. It would freak me out. If you would have seen how long it took me to film my first video, you probably would have laughed. But I think that's something to be proud of, that I persevered and now we're here. And I just love now knowing that y'all are on the other side, and I can't wait to come back fully and really get back into just being with y'all and baking with you. So let me know if you have any ideas or things you want to see in the comments. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. You'll see more content from me, more kind of like day-to-day situations, as well as good baking fun. So that is all I have for this week. I hope you all have a great, amazing rest of your week. I will see you all next week. Bye.